making this happen. I did not confer with Mary, but I have a friend who teaches chair exercises. Indulge me for one moment. I do this on the airplane. Would you please just raise your arms and stretch them up toward the ceiling and flex your beautiful buttocks and relax. And now lift your pelvic floor and ball up your fists and relax. It's so intimate to do that together. Anyway, we needed to oxygenate just a little bit. Tonight I'm going to tell a hybrid story, which is a cross between a fairy tale with dark and evil forces and a true personal story. Long, long ago, it was a beautiful morning in my family room. Sun was streaming into the window, and my 36-inch Sony Trinitron TV monitor was sitting dark and husky and shelved. My 3.5-year-old daughter toddles into the room, picks up the television remote, and stares at it like a hungry lion cub staring at an antelope ham bone. She points it at the monitor and clicks, and boom! A blur of candy commercials and bleeding bodies and car crashes whizzes across the screen. She keeps pressing channel up, and it goes and goes, and then she drops it on the table, walks off into the corner to play with her kid craft, let's cook, play kitchen. Yes! I figured my daughter was not going to be a TV addict. She was perhaps immune to it all. Maybe. She was awfully good with the remote. She exhibited good hand-eye coordination with that thing. Well, the next morning she walked in and said, "Hi, Daddy," picked up the remote. "What's on?" Shouldn't she be saying something like, "Hi, Daddy, good morning, I love you"? She points it at the TV. Boom, it goes on, but this time she's channeling through more slowly. She has a discerning look on her face. She's paying more attention to the content. And she stops on the Cartoon Network. Ninja, spinjitzu, and blood and gore, and battle with skeletons. And I'm going, no, I don't want her to watch this stuff. It's just brimming with violence, starring ninja warriors Kai, Tata, Kuku, and Mamba. And I figure if she watches enough of this, she's going to want the action figures of Kai, Tutu, Tana, Namba. And at $22.95 each, that's close to $100. And if she asked for them, I'd have to pull something out of her college fund. Well, something happened professionally for me that made it so that I didn't have to take anything out of her college fund. I got an audition for a brand new TV cartoon called G.I. Joe, Real American Hero. I go to the audition, and there are actors stretched out around the block, holding scripts in their hands with pictures of the characters they're auditioning for. Mine was called Flint. Big guy, special ops soldier with a black beret and huge pectoral muscles, casting against type. And I stood on the sidewalk and practiced my lines. "All right, Eddie J, you better get your battle gear on because Cobra's on their way and I can't bring up the laser threat weapon system. We gotta get out of here. Go! Well, I finally got into the audition studio and they handed me another line which read something like, no. The director goes, "All right, Flint, number 17 audition, take one." I said my line, and then the second line is, no. And he goes, "Hold on just a second. Give me some more energy, would you? You're being held down by a Gigantosaurus in the future, and that's scary. Take two." No. Thank you. Next. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call. "You got the job. You're Flint." So I go to the studio, and there are already actors in there lined up at the microphones, and there's a young woman passing out scripts. And she says, "I have two things I want to tell you. Number one, No one dies in G.I. Joe. I said, what do you mean no one dies in G.I. Joe? It's a war cartoon. Well, parent groups have gotten involved and they've driven the boycott of Hasbro toys. So we've rewritten the script so that when some bad guy gets shot out of the sky, he just simply parachutes out over the horizon. Oh, and the second thing is, I'm supposed to tell you to buy Hasbro stock. None of us could afford to buy Hasbro stock. I thought, what is this, insider trading? The truth was, when we started recording the show, Hasbro stock was at $10 on the NASDAQ. 3 years later, after the show had been on the air, it was up to $54. I wish I'd bought some. My daughter, of course, now in kindergarten, wanted to see every episode that Daddy was in. Brought all of her friends to our house to see this terrible, violent thing of art. And one night I sat and stared at all the G.I. Joe videos on the floor, the electronic junk in the corner, and I thought, no, I don't want this to happen. I want my kid to be a reader and a thinker. It wasn't that I was trying to shove her back into the past when there was no TV. I didn't expect her to sit and make dolls out of corn husks. But I wanted some peace and some poetry in the house. So I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll install an electric switch in the basement, and I can turn off the entire entertainment center. I mean, I was her dad. Isn't this what a parent is supposed to do, take a stand? And I thought back to when my father bought us our first TV. I was in kindergarten, and I came home one afternoon, and 2 delivery men were pushing this huge wooden thing into our living room. My dad said, son, just go up to it and turn the knob and wait for it to warm up, and there you go, TV. Don't stand too close, though, or your eyes will pop right out of your head. Well, I stared at the mahogany cabinet, and the screen was like the porthole on a cruise ship. I held my breath, and I reached for the knob, and I turned it. Click! And the thing began to hiss and crackle. Then on the screen came this overstuffed railroad man in a polka dot bandana. I'm Railroad Bob, and I'll show you some more cartoons, and we'll play with puppets and other fun stuff right after this message. And then an invisible voice came on. This commercial message will be 60 seconds long. 60 seconds? I held my breath, and a 2-tone Oldsmobile 88 drove across the screen with a happy family of 4 waving out the window. I ran into the kitchen. Mom, I know what a minute is. 60 seconds. She said, oh, that's right, honey. Did you learn that in kindergarten today? No, the man on TV told me. Oh, Boxcar Bob? No, this man was invisible. Oh, that's the announcer. The announcer. And soon that man's voice grew inside my head. Calm and dignified, intelligent, authoritative. And soon, the hold that my parents had upon me, my thoughts, my manners, the very development of myself as a human being, they had given over to the boob tube, the glass teat, the idiot box, the vast wasteland of television. And I became a member of the first generation to be raised by a machine. An RCA Victor 17-inch Model 7T122. I spent half my life watching television. Mickey Mouse and Spin and Marty and Howdy Doody and ads for cereal and chips and Buster Brown shoes. And whenever my mom took me to the grocery store, I'd start screaming, I want a box of Wheaties, I want a box of Wheaties. I've got the Eaties for my Wheaties. And my mom would say, honey, I think you've been watching too much TV. And I didn't want my own child to grow up as a TV addict. So I did what I was bound to do. Control things. I hired an electrician We installed a secret switch on the wall of our basement that controlled the plugs where all that electronic stuff was plugged in. My daughter comes home from kindergarten, picks up the remote, and nothing. Nothing. The room was silent. Dad! Dad! The TV doesn't work. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, honey. I guess we'll have to call the TV repairman. Guess what? He never came. And then came the age of instant messaging. IMing. Thank you so much, Apple computer. My daughter was old enough so that she could type, and she and her friend Nina spent their afternoons and evenings, when they were allowed, instant messaging their friends Dex and Gabe, fellow fourth graders. So one night when Ariana was over at her friend Nina's house, my wife and I snuck into her bedroom and went up to her computer. I touched the space bar, and a page of text comes on. It looked like dialogue. And it read, March 16th, 7:22 p.m. You said, hey guys, what's up? Next line, March 16th, 7:23 p.m. Dexter said, nothing. March 16th, 7:24 p.m. You said, that's exciting. March 16th, 7:24 p.m. Dexter said, not as exciting as seeing you and Nina naked. March 16th, 7:26 p.m. You said, sure, but you can't watch. My wife leans into the screen. Honey, who wrote this? It's our daughter's computer. She's been IMing. No, she said, this is preteen erotica. What was it about the internet that allowed these 11-year-olds to create dialogue that sounded more like 50 Shades of Grey? This is an experience that we had never had in our lives. They thought that the internet was a place of free expression of thought and a garden of researchable data that had in fact become more like a Greyhound bus station bathroom wall where you could post comments. Then came the dating years and tracking software. Apps that parents could surreptitiously put on their children's smartphones and track them whenever they wanted to. So on one of our daughter's first dates, we sat with our smartphones in the family room and tracked her onto the 5 North, onto the 134 East, onto the 210 East. And by this point, I'm getting a little bored. And my wife said, no, wait a minute, honey, the icon that represents our daughter's car and her phone is parked in the middle of the Angeles National Golf Course in La Crescenta. She doesn't play golf, my wife said. She's probably there making out with a boy. Well, the fact was, she was at a friend's house across the street from the Angeles National Golf Course with the boy and other friends safely watching television. Then, before we knew it, she was off to college. And the smartphone really became a friend. It was a way for us to stay in touch with our daughter through texting. And she texted us the most wonderful messages. Mom, Dad, thank you for everything. I love you. Classes are just great. And my roommates and I are going out for pizza. My wife would text back and she'd write, pizza with your roommates, that's wonderful. It's 9 o'clock in California. Isn't it midnight in New York? And in all caps, you're going out for pizza on the streets of New York at midnight? And then she said, this is going to give me a stroke. Let's stop texting. It's better not to know. Well, we were suffering the empty nest syndrome, and life was good. It was fun. We could go to movies, and go out with friends, and not worry about babysitters. And I was still getting checks from G.I. Joe. In fact, there were G.I. Joe action figures and attack vehicles in every store in America. The stock had skyrocketed. I wish I'd bought some. And that was when I realized that I was part of the problem. As a voice actor in a major cartoon, I had caused tens of millions of children to attempt to empty their parents' wallets and spend the money on 3.5-inch plastic action figures and attack vehicles. So I thought I had to do something to try to level the playing field. Talk to kids and let them know. So I created a program called TV Cartoon Scandals, Media Awareness for Children. And I took it into schools and did some funny voices and told stories. And I asked the kids lots and lots of questions. Elementary school kids know everything about electronic media. They knew the titles of every cartoon show online and on television, the names of every computer game ever made. But what they didn't know was how and why all of that was available to them so easily. They felt that the internet and television were like secret friends that would visit them at night. Knock, knock. Hey, kid. Sure hope you're gaming and surfing and texting. And, oh, when one of those pop-up ads appears, just sneak into your parents' bedroom and slide that credit card out of your mom's wallet and type in the little numbers and hit send, and Amazon will ship you stuff. I don't know if these kids were aware that Apple and Microsoft and Sanyo and Samsung and HTC and AT&T and LG had us all surrounded with digital devices. I don't want to sound like a fanatic. I mean, I have an iPhone, and I have an iPad, and I have a Mac Air, and a couple of desktop computers. And I also suffer from phantom vibration syndrome, also known as phantom ringing syndrome, which Wikipedia defines as the phenomenon of thinking that your mobile phone is ringing when it in fact is not. It's also called ringxiety. Am I worried about the future of kids intellectually and emotionally? The New York Times interviewed Steve Jobs when he was still alive. And the interviewer said, Mr. Jobs, this must be an amazing home you have for your kids with all these up-to-date digital devices. And Steve Jobs said, no, we don't allow them in our home. We know how addictive they are for children. What does that tell you? The very man who invented the iPhone and the iPad bans them from his home and thinks they're dangerous for children. All I know is when my wife and I were parenting, we tried to bring a modicum of balance into our home with some nature walks and some movies and good food, and we read to our kids and watched some videos. I didn't plan this out with Joan, but I want to finish by reading a portion of a Mary Oliver poem. Not from memory, but from the page, which speaks to my sentiments more articulately than I ever could. This is from one of her most famous poems called The Summer Day, and this is how she ends it. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down in the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your 1